Hi, I'm Samuel. I'm the director of On the Run.
Hi, I'm Rebecca and I'm the co-director.
So, welcome to our scene commentary, where we are going to be commenting on selected scenes from the film. So, this is the first scene of the film, obviously, and it was really amazing that it was snowing because the day before there was no snow at all, the day after there was no snow. So, God really had his hand on the weather conditions and everything because the snow, I think, really made the scene.
2 years ago, when we were looking through the script, Samuel and I were thinking, it'd be really cool if we had a season change to show how time has passed and how characters have sort of developed. And we were thinking it would be really nice if it snowed, but we were really skeptical of that because it's highly unlikely it might snow in England. And
Just wishful thinking, basically.
yeah,
Because maybe 5 days a year it's like this, and we were filming on one of those days, which is absolutely amazing.
and we prayed about it, and we weren't really sure it would happen, but when it came in January, when we were filming, saw the weather forecast, we were kind of upset because it meant that we had to redo some of the scenes that we did in the autumn sort of season. But it didn't really matter because after we looked at all the footage, it was just amazing, and it just made the film so much better. And we thank God, and it was God. It couldn't have been anyone else who did this. It was perfect timing.
And also around the Chiltern Hills there were no snow, and then right on the Chiltern Hills, that was where the snow was. You drive out of Oxford, and then there was a space where there was no snow, and then you'd see snow again when you got into the Chiltern Hills.
You've brought us through so much.
The questions at the beginning by Peter and Malik were a pretty late addition to the script because the original beginning and ending weren't so good. We may talk about that more in the end scene, but so this was actually quite spontaneous even, which is a good skill to have, just to spontaneously do things. So this sequence was shot on the same day as the beginning and the end sequence, which resulted in the day being 14 hours long. 14 hours between the time the cast came and went. They went at 11 o'clock at night, and so we were all really tired.
He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters.
The candles were a total experiment. We had to borrow an extra lens to do this scene because it was just very low light. I mean, it looks brighter on film almost than it actually was, so that's just how little light there was in there. But with digital technology you can just do these things that you couldn't have done years ago.
Having the candles there also, for me, made it really real.
More atmospheric.
Yeah, definitely. And even having the baby there as well, when the baby was sort of screaming and crying, it just made the whole thing so real. And you could just feel fear when the police did sort of come in.
So this is actually one of the last scenes that we shot with Steve as Jude, but it's actually the first time you see him in the film. So I think by this time he'd really got the character in his mind. So I think it was a good, strong first performance of the character, which I think really got you to believe that he was a real guy doing really bad things. This part was actually a very hard scene to edit, to know what to show outside, upstairs and downstairs in the living room. It was very hard to edit to know which scenes to show, so I hope it came out okay.
In this scene, we opted for more of a calm break-in to suit the somber mood of the scene rather than the policeman coming in with a bang and it's just being too loud. As in, I think it was more effective because it was quiet and you sort of saw how scared the actors were, and I think it also made it easier for them because if we had a sort of a loud everybody screaming scene, it might look really cheesy and kind of weird.
Yeah, because when you don't have professional actors and you get them to act in extreme often it just fails. So try and make them act slightly more subtly, I think, is a good idea.
Stay right where you are. Now, who's the sorry leader of you bunch of scum?
Bear in mind, we were all very tired. This is at 9 o'clock at night after a long day of filming. So
You say such a thing.
Kim and Terry look very tired, and that's because they've been filming all day.
Is there anybody else?
That line was ADR. You probably noticed that, but that picture was taken in Cornerstone, our church, and that shot of the picture exclusively was added in several days after, because we realized that we actually needed to do that because we didn't have a shot of the picture.
It is a bit unrealistic that the police took about 5 minutes to get up the stairs to look for the kids, but we really needed that time to show what the children were doing and what the police downstairs was doing with the parents. We really wanted to show Peter and Malik sort of their reaction to what was going on. Yeah.
And also we were playing with the idea that maybe the police were searching the house, so maybe this was the last room that they came to. But that's our rather feeble excuse. But we can use that. So the reason the rope was just already tied there was that maybe they'd be practicing as a family, like maybe, you know, you have fire drills at school, maybe they have, like, I don't know, break-in drills, where just in case they're found out by the police, they already have this drill. So that's why it's so fluid, they know exactly what they're doing.
When I was reading the script ages and ages ago, and it had this little bit saying children climb out the window and run away, I didn't actually think we would do this in practice. But we did. We did indeed, and it was a really difficult scene to shoot because it had to look right. However, it was really fun, and everybody sort of cooperated, and yeah, it was good.
If I had a brilliant idea of how to get them actually climbing down without showing them coming out the window, which helps sell the effect, I think, better.
Stay here. Take these two into custody. Sort the rest out.
This chase scene here was shot 2 days after the climbing out of the window scene. I hope you can't tell, but this is more like 7 o'clock in the evening rather than 11 o'clock, but I don't think you can tell.
No.
We used a wheelchair for these shots because otherwise it'd be just way too shaky. Even though it is pretty shaky, the wheelchair definitely helped with it. That shot just running out took so long, so many takes, because they just couldn't get it for some reason.
It is unrealistic to think that 2 grown men would not be able to catch 2 little kids. However, we were playing with the idea that the little children are trying to dodge them and outwit them. And for me personally, while watching this, it was so much more effective than showing one whole street and them just being chased.
And a lot more believable as well. So this was the car stunt, which was spontaneously created. That's the co-producer in there. We kept that a little secret from the co-director, and she couldn't stop laughing after she saw that. So yeah, it was quite dangerous, obviously, because he was jumping over a moving car. But we did it safely, thank God, and I think it came out really well.
It was really fun to watch, and it came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it at all.
Yeah.
So it came as a shock to me, and it just made the whole thing even more intense.
Yeah. And this whole scene, this bit here was shot was lit just by an iPhone torch. That's it, just an iPhone torch, and it was pitch black. So we were really amazed that we could just use an iPhone torch. It was a co-producer's iPhone, along with these torch lights that you see.
I'm really sorry.
So this was the first scene that Terry and Kim shot, and they were really great, considering it was their first scene. So this location here is the shed of some friends in our church, and it was really messy before we cleared it out. I don't know, it took 30-40 minutes to clear it out, and then it was like this. and then at the end of the day we had to put everything back, which felt really bad because you just cleaned something out and then you were dumping everything back in.
It really worked. The scene really worked well, I think, because of the shadows and like the lighting and the bricks and stuff, and you've got the chain there as well, and it just made it all the more scary when I was watching it. I wasn't actually here for this scene, but when I did watch it, it was just really, really good.
And there's just one light, just one cheap floodlight, that's it. You can see the cable down there on the floor.
Your little brats by this evening.
This was also the first scene Steve did as Jude, which is really impressive, because I think he knocked it out of the park in this scene.
Kim and Terry really surprised us in the scene, and even in the film as a whole. Kim has never done any acting before, and I think personally it was really good and really powerful seeing the chemistry between the two.
They are married.
Yeah, I think that helps.
Yeah, it'd be really awkward otherwise.
Lord,
So obviously these two shots, this one in the jail and this one in the woods, were shot weeks apart from each other. But this day was really amazing because Kingsley normally comes home from work 2 hours after he came home from work on this day of filming, which was incredible because he had never come home from work this early before since he's started that work. So that was really God just organising everything so well, beyond what we could do.
You may have noticed these scenes from the trailer.
hmm
They were really cool.
Most people were commenting about the camera under the bridge shot.
Yeah, very
Some
clever.
people seem to like that.
please.
This might look like it's sped up a bit, but it's not. Peter really does just run up that hill.
Mm.
We had big trouble getting Kingsley and Steve to slow down because they were just going way too fast and just catching up with Malik and Peter. But hopefully it doesn't seem too unbelievable.
The next bit is my favourite scene.
You say that about every scene.
Probably, I know I do. But this is really, really good.
This was one of the first scenes that I envisioned while making On the Run. Just this scene is one of the first ones I envisioned, and specifically like this. Thank you, Peter.
The change of music here really worked well. It made the whole thing even more tense. I think I've said that so many times. But yeah.
I actually studied Fellowship of the Ring before filming this just to try and mimic the shots exactly. Obviously it wasn't perfect because there weren't holes under where they were hiding that you could see the people above, but I tried to mimic it as much as possible.
They must have gone that way. Come on.
Oh God, help us.
That was ADR as well.
This scene is really, really intense, I think. Watching it, you're like put in the position as a children where like
Yeah.
you think you might be caught, but
Like,
actually
don't
you're
look
not.
round, don't
Yeah.
look round, don't look round.
Yeah.
That hissing sound was just to sort of create a sort of release from the tension. So this is the very first scene that we shot for the whole film. It was just very hard because I was getting used to the camera and the boom guy was getting used to using the boom and the actors were getting used to just acting. So as you can probably tell, the camera work's not quite there. So it was very hard to edit because we just didn't know the material that we needed.
Away does take a lot out of you. What was that? Get behind me.
The idea, obviously, was that was an ATAS. But
Actually,
as you see, it's not quite the ATAS.
it's Amina.
Yes.
Their faces are so funny.
Yeah. How many takes that took to get, it was just ridiculous. Because, I mean, they're still feeling very awkward about that, as you
Who
can
are
see.
you?
My name's Cadney.
We were quite,
What's yours?
at least you, Rebecca, were quite, I think, was quite nervous about Amina acting because she's very outgoing, she's very loud and bright generally.
3 days ago,
and we were wondering how we could get her to tone it down a bit and to be like nervous, but I think she did a really good job. So again, this was just shot one afternoon after church, at Eamon's house actually. It is her house that we used, and
I came back from school and I saw the Natas wrestling my parents.
we actually shot a lot more material than this that we show, but we had to cut it down to this much to make it flow, but we shot like 12 minutes or something.
Our tale is similar. We ran away because of the Natas, and our parents
Another
also
trailer
were taken
scene?
away.
Yep.
I miss them.
I miss mine too, but we want the same thing. We can help each other.
I added the bird
And
song,
what the Natas
which I
told
think
our
gave it
parents
a feeling of
They
spring
gave us a note
or
telling us
summer,
to look for something called the
in
Moors.
contrast to the snow at the
what?
beginning and the end.
They're Christians who went away from the Natas because they won't stop talking about Jesus. They took
So
refuge
that
in
was
the woods about 6
basically
years ago.
what the whole story was
Let me get
revolved
this straight.
around,
Yeah.
about
Find
these
a
children
group of
finding the
people
mirror.
whose exact location
This is
we
really
found
where
them,
the plot
whose no
sort of
one's seen for
opens
6
up
years,
to tell you
to help some
exactly what they're
people they
doing,
haven't even heard of.
and who the Murat
People
are,
have reported
and
sightings
everything like
of
that.
them, but you're kind of right.
That's insane.
Again, I think Eamon
Well,
and
can you
Malik
think of
really
anything
did a good
else?
job
Yep.
in this scene, especially considering it was their first
Well,
scene
let's do this
that they
until
ever
we know
shot
what else to do.
in this film.
Okay, fine. Just hang on.
We had to insert this bit because we found that we shot half the scene, but she forgot to put her backpack on. So we had to get her zipping back and picking her backpack up, but I think that was okay. Looks like we've got a crane, but I haven't. So this scene was created after we'd finished filming, basically. My dad saw it, saw the film, and he said there needs to be something in here with them praying, because the previous scene was talking about them deciding to pray. So this was basically a montage of the whole film. So it was just something off the cuff. But hopefully it flows, because I think it doesn't quite flow, but other people think it might.
Help me to trust you.
It was really good that Malik
Please
prayed the prayer that
protect
he
our
did, because
parents.
it was something that we
Give
could
them
all
courage.
relate to.
And bring us all
Um,
back together.
You know, in his prayer he was saying how he was weak and he needed that strength, and
Lord,
it's something
please hear our
that we all
prayers and
we all
act soon.
struggle with.
In Jesus'
We're not all
name
perfect
we
Christians.
pray. Amen. Alright, Martha, how are you
So the
today?
nurse tending to Martha at the moment is actually a real nurse. She goes to our church. She actually just lives next door. So we caught her just after a night shift. That's why she's still in uniform, which is quite convenient.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you're doing well.
It's good that she's a real nurse, because this is basically what she does.
Oh.
So it was very
I'll get
natural.
you some medicine, okay?
All this.
I don't have any money.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll get it for you. Take it as a present from me.
Oh, thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you.
Don't mention it.
We had concerns that the death scene would be too cheesy, because originally it was going to be very loud and violent and blood and yuck and gore, but obviously that wouldn't have been very good. So we opted for the more subtle, like echoes from Jude and Martha, and very subtle death scene
And just watching her life sort of,
fade away
yeah.
instead of bang. Well, I mean it is pretty bang, but
It comes out of nowhere as well, like you don't actually expect it in
No.
the scene, and so it just sort of, as audience, you sort of get drawn into this, and you do get quite scared watching it.
as the filmmaker and editor, I've seen this scene so many times, and sometimes it's hard to know if something is shocking or is emotionally affecting when you've just seen it countless times. But my co-director tells me that it's not too bad, so I need to go by what she says, because I've just seen this so many times to make a fair judgment.
This scene was shot in the basement of our church.
Yep.
It looks really cool, I think.
Father God, we commit
We were
our
playing with the
spirits
idea
into
that
your
the
hands.
Natas were just sort of taking
Lord, allow
random
children
basements
to,
as
Lord.
prisons,
In the name
so that's
of
why they
Jesus,
don't look like
Amen.
cells.
Amen.
So that was our excuse for making them like this.
This is Kay,
he has one line in the film,
Yep.
which is right at the beginning. So it was quite funny because he wanted to say more than one line, but he only actually had one line. And he actually, we shot another line that he said, but we actually cut it out, which was unfortunate, but it just didn't flow. But anyway, I think some people will be wondering what that sound was. It was the sound of the gun starting up, reminiscent of the scene with Biffy and Andrew's execution.
In this scene, you've got Terry, telling Kim to stay calm and it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. For me, I think it came across that it was him kind of scared and
Yeah, calming himself down.
yeah, and he was sort of calming himself down as well.
It's kind of funny because Terry plays a good Christian guy, and with the takes that we didn't use, he was taunting him, like saying, "You're a big guy, aren't you?" It was so funny. It was so out of character, but funny.
Stop the killing!
We were concerned that might be a bit too abrupt, like just bang, he's in there. But we didn't really have anywhere to
Give me the gun!
to build that up, showing him running. Although we did shoot quite a lot of Steve running. Now this was shot about 5 or 6 months before this. So these two scenes were shot half a year apart from each other, but we had to put them together,
Tim?
which I hope works
Will?
quite well. Hope you can't notice.
Tim! Will!
This bit was really difficult to film because the children, as soon as they saw the parents, they were sort of running and we didn't have time to sort of see their reactions or anything.
Yeah, we had to do it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Just slow down, just say slow down.
But at the end, it just worked all well with the music as well. It's sort of it's all built up, and it's like you've been expecting this for the whole way through. You just wanted these family to sort of come together again.
Yeah, I think this film could probably quite easily have been made a full-length film, because watching it doesn't feel like they've been away from home that long. I mean, it's just been 40 minutes or something. But the idea is that they've been away for a long time.
Kat Lenz, or Amina, acted really, really well here.
Really good. So the idea behind this shot was that the door was there,
A barrier.
right there as a barrier between her and the family, and then it just moves out, and then they're like together. At least that was the idea behind it. Don't know how that worked, but often it's the subconscious things that people just do that make all the difference to how you feel and the emotions that you have in the scene. So this scene was actually the very last scene that we shot. I know we were supposed to have wrapped principal photography in the previous scene, but I argue this was secondary photography, so that's why we were allowed to shoot this. But again, the script was literally just written the night before or something. But I think we found that the spontaneous scenes are the ones that have actually worked out the best, because the scenes that have been really well planned, yeah, they're good, but not the best. I think when we're not that well prepared, God really is able to direct.
It was really good having the scene because it sort of ties up all the loose ends we've been having throughout the whole film. Like, you've got the scene when Steve sort of breaks in and stops the killing, but you're like, why is he doing it? Like, what's gonna happen next? And this sort of, it just all comes together.
It's Jude! Defected to the traitors! We have to get him back! Fast!
So having exactly the same shots at the end as we did at the beginning of the film hopefully makes you remember the questions that the characters were asking, so we just didn't have to put them again. And just in case you have totally forgotten, we give you the last question just here.
What future do we have now?
So these shots were very fun to do, running up hills and things, because every different shot that you see as another take. So they had to run up the hill again, and then again, and again. It was quite
tiring,
fun.
yeah.
You weren't even there.
I know. This scene really shows how, weary and tiring the thing is, and
Yeah. Because, I mean, we were out there for 5 hours or something, and we were so cold by the end of it. By the end of it, we were miserable, and it just helped to appreciate actually what would it be like if you were out there for 5 days. That would just be horrible. We shot half of this scene in the autumn time, which you can see in the deleted scenes section in the DVD, but we had to reshoot everything, obviously because of the snow, but I think it worked a lot better with the snow, so much more effective.
the actors here have really done really well, I think. You could just see the fear, come through their acting.
And over there in the brown jacket with the green rucksack, makes you think that it's Martha, but it's actually Annika's daughter, Damaris, who was instead of Annika, because Annika was in Scotland, where it was nice and warm weather compared to here. Apparently it was like 10 degrees warmer, but anyway, it's kind of ironic.
Here you've got Peter sort of remembering his dream again.
With the same music, which evokes the
And again, if you
Sure, but
concentrated, you could see the
strange.
branches again, and it was the same thing that was in
Yeah.
his dream.
Have you been here before?
In my dreams, but it's not as I imagined.
They all look so cold and miserable. That's not acting. They were
This is also
actually
strange.
like that. I kind of felt bad, but I think it
But
was
it's
worth
like
it.
something I've just read in God's holy word, the Bible, directly to us.
So
And
over the whole
after
film,
we
Steve
have
was really, really
suffered
helpful
for a
because
little
he was
while,
really the acting director.
God,
Because as a
by
director,
his
you can only
grace,
think about so
makes
many things: the
everything
camera angles,
right.
the
He
script.
will
It's
make
so
us
nice to have
strong,
someone dedicated to directing
support
the
us,
actors.
and keep us
And
from
because he's an
falling.
actor himself in this film,
He's
it's also
called
good
us
because
to
he knows
share
the
in
sort of
his
things that they
glory
need to
in
be told.
Christ. A
That was
glory
really good.
that will never end. You know, in the Bible, Job didn't curse
So this
God,
thing about Job that he's talking about
even
literally
though God
came to me
was
the night
letting him
before.
suffer.
So I was in bed and I was just thinking, what can he say?
Job didn't
And
know
then Job
what
popped
God's
into my
plan
mind.
was,
So I think that
or
was
even
definitely
why it was
God,
happening,
because
even though he was an
I just
upright
thought of
man.
it the day before, and I think it worked out really well.
But Job didn't lose sight of God's sovereignty or righteousness.
This is my mum and my brother. Having them there, really helps to show that persecution is a worldwide occurrence. And Nathan and Bithia and Cadlin and all their
We
stories and little tales.
Can help
It's not in a
those
vacuum.
in need.
It's a big issue. When Nathan and the bigger group sort of welcome my mum and my brother, it represents the heart of God and God's desire for His
Those
children
who, like
to help
us,
one another and
are on
suffer
the run.
together in Christ. As they're walking off into the distance, you get a sense of uncertainty. However, we know for a fact that God holds their future,
God
a
be the
future
glory
where He will
forever
wipe
and ever.
every tear,
Amen.
where there will be no more sorrows, no more pain or death.
Thank you for listening to the commentary of selected scenes from On the Run. I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun doing it.
Be blessed and be safe.
Bye.